I spoke with President Biden to, obviously hear his direction. And what he said in that call, which is what he has said time and time again, is that the Chinese people deserve a good economy and prosperity. We have no interest to hold China down, to hold China back, to hold the people down.
And no interest in strategic decoupling. Well, what about us? Don't Americans deserve a good economy? The Biden administration has yet to give it to us. Meanwhile, as Laura said last night, it looks like Beijing's bailout is in the works. Joining us right now with a different point of view, Bob Lighthizer, former U.S. Trade Representative under President Trump, and Robert O'Brien, former Trump National Security Advisor with a rich resume for both of them. Bob, economically, China has never been more vulnerable. So why is it our job to prop them up? I'll start with you, Bob Lighthizer.
Well, it's absolute insanity, Brian. I mean, the reality is the status quo, more business, more investment helps China. We are transferring hundreds of billions of dollars of the wealth of us, our jobs and our children's jobs and wealth to China every single year. We have to stop that. They're using that money to build up their army, their navy, to build their technology. And I was quite disheartened by this trip because he had said, we want more business, we want dialogue. Look at dialogues. We've had dialogues for 40 years with China. They promise things and never do anything. What it told me is either that these people don't understand the nature of the threat, or they think the investment class is more important than the working class.
So, Robert O'Brien, you weren't there yet in the position you were in, but one of the first visits that Donald Trump had was President Xi over to Mar-a-Lago. What derailed? Were they wrong to say, put your hand out, we can work together then? What derailed since?
Well, look, I think the Chinese took advantage of everything we gave them and every opportunity we gave them. And Bob Lighthizer is the best negotiator in America and got a great deal. And then they didn't abide by the deal. And they breached it and showed that they weren't interested in anything. So what they're doing, they're taking the money that we're sending them, all the investment into their shipbuilding companies, all the investment in their aerospace companies, and they're building a destroyer a month. We build 2 destroyers a year. They're doing 1 a month. And they built 1,000 nuclear silos near Beijing. They're going to have more ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, pointed at America than we've got pointed at Russia. And they're using it with our money. We're funding it. And this whole thing's ridiculous. It's time to decouple from China. And yeah, the Chinese people deserve freedom, too. I mean, that's what Gina Raimondo left out. They deserve a good economy, but they deserve freedom. They deserve to be ruled by people they elect, not by the Communist Party. Yeah. The Uyghurs deserve to not live in concentration camps.
Yeah, I thought we were anti-concentration camp as a country. Here's how the Democrats are spinning President Biden's handling of China. Watch.
Where do you think things stand with the relationship with Beijing? What needs to change?
The things that need to change are being changed. This administration has had the strongest response to economic competition and national security of any we've seen in decades, beginning to hold China accountable in a way this country has not for too long.
Are they tough enough, Bob? I think you indicated they aren't. And here's one other thing that has changed since you left. China now has 21% at least unemployment among its youth, 18 to 24. Their economy was growing at 8% before the pandemic. It's stuck at 3%. And the real estate companies are imploding after a decade of overbuilding. This is vulnerability, but it also shows a country that it might look to strike to change the subject and to change the mindset. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, the notion that they were the first people to take on China is absolutely untrue. What we are seeing is a return to the Biden policy, which is really kind of a status quo, pro-China kind of a policy. And holding them accountable, the only thing they have done constructive is keep the Trump tariffs. And it scares me, to be honest, Ron, what will happen if President Biden is reelected. I believe the tariffs will go. And I think the tariffs are the beginning of decoupling. It started in the Trump administration. We were the first administration in history to recognize the gravity of the relationship and to recognize and state that they were a hostile adversary. And then begin this process of changing our economic relationship.
And Robert O'Brien, just to close, we know this. The BRIC alliance has formed to counteract, I guess, the G8 and the G20. and it consists of countries like Venezuela, Russia, China, India, maybe even Saudi Arabia, to rival America and devalue the dollar. Should we be worried?
Well, we shouldn't be worried now. I'm not too worried about any alliance that has Argentina and Iran and China economically. But what we do need to be concerned about is this appeasement of China. And they're trying to use BRICS to take away our advantage in the world. But they sent a spy balloon over America. And what was the response? 4 cabinet secretaries go to Beijing, and Janet Yellen bowed to Xi, and Raimondo said she wants to help them, bail them out of their economic crisis. When there's, any bailout we give them will be used to build more platforms to threaten our sailors, airmen, Marines, soldiers, Coast Guardmen in the Pacific. I mean, this is ridiculous. The Biden administration started out pretty well when they were following the Trump policies, but now they're going to the old Democratic handbook of appeasement of China, and it's really a shame.
It's a shame and it's embarrassing. We deserve better. We put more money, our tax dollars, into a Pentagon to show muscle, not weakness. And they hacked Raimondo's email, and she still goes over there with a big smile on her face. It's a joke. Guys, thanks so much for spending your Thursday night with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.